Imagine looking up at the night sky and seeing something that doesn't belong. A new star, impossibly bright, burning a hole in the fabric of the familiar heavens. For 2,000 years, the Star of Bethlehem has been just that, a beautiful mystery at the heart of the Christmas story. We read about it in the Gospel of Matthew, how it appeared to the Magi in the east and then led them to Judea, even stopping over the place where the young child was. It's a cornerstone of our nativity scenes. But for centuries, scientists and scholars have asked the same question. What was it? Most dismissed it as pure legend, a poetic device. A miracle, yes, but not an event you could pin to a time and place. There is no crater, no relic to dig up. How do you investigate a light that went out 2 millennia ago? The trail seemed colder than a December night in Bethlehem. This is where our investigation begins. We are not going to a dig site today. We are going to the ultimate archive, the sky itself. Because while the earth keeps its secrets buried, the heavens keep a perfect record. The stars and planets move with a clockwork precision we can now rewind. And that is exactly what a group of historians and astronomers began to do with modern planetarium software. They typed in a date range, set the location to the ancient Near East, and hit reverse. What they found didn't just add a footnote to the Christmas story. It revealed a celestial drama of staggering precision, a series of events so rare and symbolically charged that it rewrites the chapter from a simple verse into a jaw-dropping narrative. They discovered that the star wasn't a star at all. It was a message written in the language of the ancient world, the language of the planets. And the key player in this drama was the king of the planets himself, Jupiter. To the Babylonians and Persians, the very cultures the Magi came from, Jupiter was known as the celestial king, the planet of royalty and supreme rule. Its movements were studied like the headlines of a divine newspaper. And in the years 3 and 2 BC, Jupiter began to do something extraordinary. It embarked on a royal tour through the constellation of Leo, the lion. In ancient Jewish symbolism, the lion was the emblem of the tribe of Judah, the very tribe the Messiah was prophesied to come from. So already the stage was set. The king planet was moving through the kingly constellation. But then, it made its first stop. It approached the brightest star in Leo, a star named Regulus, which literally means little king. And here, the plot thickens. From our perspective on Earth, Jupiter didn't just pass by Regulus, it seemed to engage it in a cosmic dance. It converged with it, then appeared to stop in its path. It then went into retrograde, a backward loop, passed Regulus again, stopped, and passed it a third time. 3 times, the king planet crowned the little king with its presence. Think about that for a moment. If you were a magus, a learned astronomer-astrologer from the East, watching this unfold night after night, what would you conclude? You would see an undeniable proclamation in the sky. A new, supreme king from the line of Judah is being crowned, now. The announcement had been made, and it is time to go find him. But the celestial drama was just getting started. The most brilliant act was yet to come. So the Magi saw the sign. The triple coronation of Regulus by Jupiter was a headline in the sky they couldn't ignore. It set them in motion. The journey from places like Babylon or Persia to Jerusalem was long, taking weeks, possibly months. And as they traveled, the sky above them was not static. It was continuing to tell the story. This is a crucial point we often miss. The star wasn't a single flashlight beam that turned on and pointed the way. It was a sequence, a narrative written over nearly 2 years. The Magi weren't just following a light, they were interpreting a celestial script as it unfolded. And the next chapter was perhaps the most visually stunning of them all. Months after Jupiter's dance with Regulus, in the early summer of 2 BC, another breathtaking alignment began to form. Jupiter, now moving out of Leo, drew closer to the brightest planet in our sky. Venus. Venus, the planet named for the goddess of love and beauty. In many ancient traditions, it was also associated with motherhood and fertility. Night after night, the gap between these two brilliant points of light closed. And then, on the evening of June 17th, 2nd BC, something happened that would have made any ancient sky watcher catch their breath. Jupiter and Venus converged. They didn't just come close, they nearly merged. In the twilight sky, just after sunset, the two planets appeared so close together that, to the naked eye, they would have shone as one single blazing beacon. We need to picture this. This wouldn't have been just another bright star. This would have been the brightest celestial object anyone had ever seen, apart from the sun and moon. The light of the king planet and the mother planet combining into one superstar. Modern astronomers calculate that their centers were only about 1/10 of a degree apart. That's 1/5 the width of your little finger held at arm's length. They would have been indistinguishable. Now, put yourself back on that ancient road. You are a magus. You've been traveling for months because you saw the kingly coronation in Leo. And now, as you near your destination, the sky delivers this: a miraculous, unprecedented fusion of royal and maternal light. The message would have been overwhelming and deeply personal. It was no longer just about a king's birth. It was about the birth of this specific king, the promised one. And here is where the geography of prophecy kicks in. This spectacular conjunction did not happen just anywhere in the sky. For an observer in the Near East, this fused star would have been shining brilliantly in the western sky in the direction of Judea. Specifically, it would have been setting towards Jerusalem. It was literally a beacon pointing the way. So when Matthew's gospel says the star went ahead of them after they left Jerusalem for Bethlehem, this fits. The conjunction had passed, but Jupiter, the leading actor, was still moving, and its path was leading south. The Magi, now in Jerusalem and having heard the prophecy that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem, just 6 miles to the south, would have looked up and seen their celestial guide, Jupiter, positioned in the sky in that very direction. The pieces were coming together, the prophecy from the earth, the sign from the heavens. But the most perplexing part of the biblical account was still to be explained. How does a star stop? This is the moment that has baffled readers for centuries. The Magi leave King Herod in Jerusalem and head for Bethlehem. And Matthew tells us, the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. How? How can a star, a distant sun light years away, stop over one specific house in one small village? For a long time, this was the verse that made everyone, even believers, shrug and say, well, it was a miracle. It must have been a supernatural phenomenon beyond explanation. And it certainly was a miracle. But what if the mechanism of that miracle was woven into the very fabric of the natural world God created? What if the stopping wasn't the star breaking the laws of physics, but fulfilling a predictable, beautiful pattern within them? To understand this, we have to step into the shoes of an ancient observer. They didn't know the solar system was heliocentric. From their point of view, Earth was the center, and the planets moved across the dome of the sky on their own mysterious paths. And sometimes, those paths did something strange. A planet, moving steadily eastward against the backdrop of stars, would gradually slow down, come to a complete halt, and then reverse course, moving westward for a while before halting and resuming its eastward journey. They called this retrograde motion. To them, the planet had literally stopped and turned around. We now know this is an illusion, a cosmic passing lane effect. As Earth, on its inner, faster orbit, overtakes a slower outer planet like Jupiter, the planet appears to slow and move backward against the distant stars. But the key point is this. There is a moment at the peak of this illusion where the planet appears to stand still. It is stationary, It doesn't move east or west, it just hangs in one precise spot in the sky for a day or more. Now, let's rewind the sky to December of the 2nd BC. The Magi are in Bethlehem. They've been guided there by the scriptures and by Jupiter's position in the southern sky. And on a specific night, astronomers running the software made a stunning discovery. Jupiter entered one of these stationary periods on December 25th of 2nd BC, using our modern calendar. Jupiter reached its point of retrograde motion and became stationary in the constellation of Virgo. But it's not just that it stopped, it's where it stopped. When you plot the line of sight from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, and then extend that line up into the sky to where Jupiter was stationed that night, the alignment is precise. For an observer standing in the small village of Bethlehem, looking south towards Jerusalem, Jupiter would have been positioned directly ahead. And for an observer in Jerusalem looking at Bethlehem, Jupiter would have appeared suspended directly over Bethlehem. The planet didn't descend from the sky like a spotlight, but from the perspective of the Magi, who understood celestial motion intimately, the meaning was crystal clear. The king planet, after its long journey of coronations and conjunctions, had now come to a royal halt. It was marking the spot. It was stationary over the town of David. The celestial announcement that began 2 years prior with a dance was now concluding with a period, a full stop written in the sky. The Bible was recording exactly what they saw in the language they used. The star stopped. For them, it did. The awe in that moment is almost tangible. The mathematical precision of the event is one thing, but the personal guiding nature of it is what takes our breath away. It was a sign tailored for the seekers who were looking for it. And yet, the celestial testimony was even more profound, because there is another, even more detailed prophecy in the Bible that appears to describe the very sky under which Jesus was born. We have followed Jupiter's path, the coronation, the brilliant conjunction, the miraculous stop. But what if the sky was telling more than one story that year? What if the birth was marked not just by the movement of planets, but by a grand fixed tableau in the heavens, one that was prophesied centuries in advance? To find that, we have to turn to the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation. In chapter 12, the Apostle John describes a vivid symbolic vision. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. For most of church history, this has been understood as pure apocalyptic symbolism. The woman represents Israel, or the church, and that may be its ultimate meaning. But what if the vision was first rooted in something an ancient astronomer, like one of the Magi, would have instantly recognized? What if it was a celestial sign before it was a theological symbol? This is where our modern software becomes a time machine for prophecy. Researchers, curious about this connection, decided to check. They set the software for a key date, not December, but earlier, sometime in the fall, around the Jewish Feast of Trumpets, a time many scholars suggest could align with Jesus' actual birth. They set the location for the Near East, and they hit enter. What appeared on the screen was, in a word, breathtaking. On September 11th, 3rd BC at sunset, the constellation Virgo, the Virgin, was seen on the eastern horizon, and she was precisely clothed with the sun. The sun was positioned in the middle of her body, at the torso, as if dressing her in light. At her feet, the crescent moon was visible, fitting the description, the moon under her feet with exactitude. And above her head, the 9 stars of the constellation, Leo, the lion. But wait, the crown has 12 stars. At that moment, 3 planets were also in Leo: Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. 9 fixed stars plus 3 wandering stars or planets equals 12. The alignment was perfect. A pregnant virgin clothed in solar glory, standing on the moon, crowned with 12 stars. It was all there, in the real night sky, on a date that fits the historical timeline. Now, let's connect the dots. This grand sign occurs in September of 3rd BC. This aligns with the beginning of Jupiter's royal dance with Regulus in Leo, which started that same year. The celestial announcement begins with this majestic portrait. Then, for the next 15 months, Jupiter performs its detailed narrative of coronation, conjunction, and guidance, culminating in its station over Bethlehem in December of 2nd BC. The implication is staggering. It suggests the Magi didn't just see one odd event. They witnessed the unfolding of a multi-year celestial prophecy. The Revelation 12 sign was the opening title card, the declaration that the time of the Virgin's delivery had arrived. Then, Jupiter provided the turn-by-turn directions. This moves the story from a curious astronomical alignment into the realm of divine choreography. It answers the why behind the Magi's conviction. They weren't just following a strange star, they were witnessing the fulfillment of a specific ancient Hebrew prophecy written in the stars they studied every night. They saw Virgo, crowned and glorious, and knew the prophecies of a Messiah born of a virgin. They saw the king planet in the lion, and knew the prophecies of the Lion of Judah. The sky wasn't just giving them directions to a town, it was confirming the identity of the child. Every detail, from the general sign to the specific guidance, was accounted for. The heavens were speaking in a language of symbols that bridged cultures, connecting Babylonian astronomy with Jewish scripture in a way that could only be the work of a single divine author. By now, a question is burning in our minds. Coincidence? Could this intricate series of alignments, the Virgo sign, the triple coronation, the Jupiter-Venus merger, the stationary point, just be a fantastic one-in-a-billion accident? To answer that, we need to understand the scale of time we're dealing with. We need to listen to the tick of the cosmic clock. Let's break down the rarity. First, the Revelation 12 sign. A woman, Virgo, clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars, Leo plus planets. Each element is common on its own. The sun passes through Virgo every year. The moon is under her feet regularly. But the specific combination, the sun centered on her body, while a crescent moon is at her feet while 3 planets are in Leo to make the 12-star crown. That is extraordinarily rare. Astronomers calculate this specific alignment occurs on average once every several thousand years. Then, layer on Jupiter's specific path. For Jupiter to engage in that triple conjunction with Regulus, passing it 3 times due to retrograde, is itself a cycle that happens only every 12 years or so. But for that specific triple conjunction to begin in the same year, the very same season, as the grand Virgo sign, the odds shrink dramatically. Now, add the pièce de résistance, the ultra-close conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, where they merge into a single star. Conjunctions happen, but a merger that close, that brilliant, occurring in the same 2-year period as the other signs, and positioned in the sky to point toward Judea? We are moving from rarity into the realm of the unique. This is what shocked the researchers. When they ran the software backwards and forwards over centuries, they couldn't find another period where all these celestial headlines stacked up so perfectly with such clear symbolic meaning, aligned with the historical period of Jesus' birth. The period of 32 BC stands alone. This brings us to a profound realization about the Magi. We often call them wise men, and that's true. But we should think of them more as master astronomers and historians of the sky. They weren't just looking at that night's chart. They were scholars who studied centuries of Babylonian astronomical diaries. They knew the cycles. They could recognize when the sky was doing something unprecedented. So when they saw this sequence begin, the Virgo sign, followed by the king planet crowning the king star in the lion's constellation. They didn't see random lights. They saw a preordained script playing out. They saw the clockwork of heaven striking a prophesied hour. This is why they prepared lavish gifts and embarked on a long, dangerous journey. They weren't chasing a maybe. They were following a celestial certainty. The mathematics of the sky provided the when. The Hebrew scriptures, which they likely had access to in Babylon, provided the where. Micah's prophecy said the ruler would come from Bethlehem. The sky said the time was now. All that was left was to go and see. This transforms the story from a vague spiritual legend into a historical event anchored in time and space by verifiable celestial data. The star is no longer a mysterious magical glow. It is a timestamp, a divine signature written in a language of mathematics and symbol that the intended recipients were uniquely qualified to read. The heavens declared the glory of God, and their words were precise, predictable, and breathtakingly intentional. We've seen the celestial clockwork. We've followed the Magi's star charts. But here's what pushes this from an interesting theory into the realm of the undeniable. This event didn't happen in a vacuum. The sky was a public broadcast, visible to the entire hemisphere. If something this spectacular blazed in the heavens, wouldn't the rest of the world have noticed? Wouldn't other cultures have written it down? They did. This is the part of the investigation that often gets overlooked. While the Gospel of Matthew gives us the theological and purposeful meaning of the star, other ancient records provide the raw data, the eyewitness reports from observers who had no idea what they were seeing. They just wrote down the strange and wondrous events in their night sky. Let's start with the most compelling. In ancient China, court astronomers were meticulous record keepers. Their job was to watch the heavens for omens that affected the emperor and the state. And in their records for the year we know as 32 BC, they noted something extraordinary. They recorded a supernova or a guest star that appeared and was visible for months. But here's the key. They described its location in the constellation of Aquila, which is in the same general region of the sky as Capricorn. When astronomers plot the Jupiter-Venus conjunction of June 2nd in BC, it occurred right on the border of Leo and Cancer. But earlier, in the spring of 2 BC, Jupiter and Venus had another close encounter in the evening sky, in the constellation of Pisces. To a Chinese observer, a prolonged, brilliant point of light from a planetary merger could easily have been logged as a new star that lasted for weeks. Then we look to Rome. The Roman historian Dio Cassius records that in the year 2 BC, the Emperor Augustus was presented with an epic 3-day-long series of games and celebrations. Why that year? Because it marked the 750th anniversary of Rome's founding, but also because it was the year Augustus was given the title Pater Patriae, Father of the Country. Some scholars see in this a possible ironic response to a celestial proclamation of a different heavenly kingship that was being noticed and discussed in the empire. Even more telling are the writings from the heart of the Magi's own world. Babylonian astronomical cuneiform tablets exist that track planetary movements with dry clinical detail. While no single tablet says Magi went to Judea, the records for this period confirm the precise planetary positions our software recreated. They verify the dance of Jupiter and Regulus. They confirm the close approach of Jupiter and Venus. The ancient sky maps match our modern calculations. This convergence of independent testimony is powerful. We have the purposeful, faith-driven account from Matthew. We have the clinical, omen-watching account from China. We have the political, historical context from Rome. And we have the technical, astronomical data from Babylon. They all point to the same brief period in history and describe the same kind of unprecedented celestial activity. It's as if we have four witnesses on four different street corners, all describing the same parade from their own unique perspective. One describes the meaning and the destination of the parade. One describes the brilliant colors and how long it lasted. One describes the political reaction it caused in the city hall. And one has the official traffic log showing the route. They are all talking about the same event. The star was not a private vision for a few mystics. It was a public spectacle. The heavens shouted and the whole world looked up. But only a few, with prepared hearts and minds, understood what the shouting meant. They alone followed the sound all the way to a humble house in a small town where they found the Word made flesh, lying in a manger. So where does this leave us? We began with an impossible star, a point of light that led to a child. We end with a celestial fingerprint, a series of astronomical events so precise and rare they form a unique timestamp in human history. 3:2 BC. The investigation is over. The evidence is in. And it asks us to make a choice about what we've seen. Was it all just a breathtaking series of cosmic accidents? A universe of random chance that just happened to arrange its brightest players into a perfect symbolic narrative, pointing to a tiny village in Judea at the exact moment a particular child was born? For some, that will be the conclusion. But for us, standing here at the end of this journey, another conclusion feels not just possible, but profoundly resonant. It is the conclusion the Magi reached after their long journey, when they finally knelt in that humble space. They saw the celestial machinery not as a replacement for faith, but as its confirmation. The God who spoke the stars into being, who set their courses and defined their cycles, is the same God who enters human history. He doesn't just intervene with a blinding, unexplainable miracle from outside the system. He often works from within the system he created, using its own language, its own mathematics, to announce his arrival. The Star of Bethlehem, then, becomes the ultimate bridge. It is the point where faith and reason don't fight, but shake hands. It is where the poetry of prophecy meets the precision of astronomy. The Bible told us the what and the why. A Savior is born. The sky, it turns out, told us the when and confirmed the who in a language the whole ancient world could see. This changes how we read that familiar Christmas story. It's no longer a fairy tale set in a vague, once upon a time. It is an event anchored in the real soil of Bethlehem and under the verifiable sky of a specific December. Those shepherds weren't just looking at any night sky. It was that night sky, still echoing with the recent fusion of Jupiter and Venus. Those Magi weren't following a feeling. They were following coordinates, both scriptural and celestial, that converged with pinpoint accuracy. The shock of this discovery isn't that it proves the Bible in a scientific sense. Faith will always be faith. The shock is the intimacy of the design. It reveals a God who is a master storyteller, writing his gospel not just on parchment, but across the cosmos. He prepared a sign for pagan astrologers in the East, using the stars they revered. He met them exactly where they were, in their field of expertise, to lead them to where he was. So this Christmas, when you see a star on top of a tree, or sing about the wise men following yonder star, remember, you're not just recalling a pretty legend, you're remembering a historical moment, signed and dated by the heavens themselves. You're celebrating the time the infinite God pressed his fingerprint into the timeline of our world, a fingerprint made of starlight. The star faded. The planets moved on in their cycles. But the event they pointed to changed everything. The journey that began with a celestial sign ended with a kneeling worship. And that, perhaps, is the final and most important lesson the star has for us. It was never the destination. It was always the guide, and it still points the way.